All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Engineering the Markets. My name is Jared, and it is January 25th, 2022. Let's take a look at the market in focus from yesterday's session. Certainly was a momentous intraday trading session. We had a ton of volatility both in the early morning session as the market continued to add downside momentum. And as we saw, the market did get to a relative extreme in the form of an attempted technical reversal. Keep in mind that so far this reversal is very early in its setup. We're obviously looking at very wide overall ranges in this market as we saw liquidations and certain amounts of margin redistribution back to the brokers as we were hitting those relative lows. And of course, as we start to look at the expected move, I usually bring this up whenever there is a significant tag breach or otherwise just commenting on the expansion of the expected move range. And just like last week, we saw a downside tag of the expected move on yesterday's session. Now, this, of course, did not necessarily mark the absolute bottom. This was not as precise as maybe some previous tags of expected move back in December, but it also gives you a sense of the pricing model for this week and how precise it was, at least in the first trading session of the week. Remember that the S&P expected move is approximately 150 points based on Friday's close. And as we can see that the market actually gapped down on yesterday's session, we saw a move basically achieving all of that expected move and then a little bit more as we saw that relative extreme come in. And then, of course, the market turned. We saw correlated buying across most of our market products and multiple asset classes, not necessarily fully correlated to equities, but just sort of a full relief rally across things like crypto, certain commodity products, and of course the global markets are starting to see a little bit of that recovery as well, albeit they are within different parameters in regards to some geopolitical unrest that is starting to occur. Now, just to comment on some of this volatility, as you get a test or a breach of the expected move, it's often worthwhile to see if the market is trying to price in additional volatility based on the previous day's close. And as we look at the end of week series, the 28 Jan series for the SPX, we can see that the market is now pricing in about 161 point expected move for the remainder of the week. Now, keep in mind, we are not necessarily at Friday's close, but we're looking at a full 10 extra points attempting to be priced in as the market was expanding that volatility on yesterday's session. So you can almost imagine sort of marking a higher print based on January 28th series and also based on the close from yesterday. Essentially, the market is stating that while we do have a bit of a relief rally overall, the volatility is not quite backing down at this point, as this week has a number of additional catalysts that can cause more range expansion. You want to be thinking things like our earnings, which are coming up this afternoon in regards to some of our heavy hitters, along with the Fed and FOMC meeting Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. So market volatility continues to be high. A lot of people, of course, saw the spike in the VIX. You can also see this in things like your spot volatility futures. And on yesterday's Engineering the Markets, we talked about the idea of this particular marketplace being in a structure known as backwardation, which is not a common state for it to be in. The idea being that the short-dated contracts are now being priced higher than future dated contracts. And the sort of skew or the curve in between each of those contracts will sort of dictate the extremity of that volatility moving into the market. Now, there's a few ways you can view yesterday's bounce. Obviously, we'll look at the actual charts in just a moment, but from a volatility perspective, and understand volatility in this sense is more related to volatility futures, a product that a lot of firms use as sort of an inherent position. Going back to the conversation of market making firms, they are often buying and selling option contracts to various clients. They're providing liquidity to the market, and yet their core position structure is often to remain neutral. They don't necessarily have a directional bias. They don't necessarily want to have a volatility bias. They want to remain as close to neutral in all of these different parameters as possible. And one thing that they do, for example, if they are going out and buying and selling option contracts to clients, they have different vega exposures based on their sort of net inventory to the market. One thing they will often do is buy or sell volatility futures in order to mitigate some of that volatility exposure, basically to play the counterparty and to provide protection to their inventory as they continue to provide liquidity. Just like buying and selling stock allows you to mitigate some of your delta exposure if you are buying and selling call and put contracts to the marketplace. So on yesterday's session, you can think about the sort of volatility expansion as a bit of a short squeeze inside of volatility futures. If all of these market making firms are, for the most part, short volatility, then whenever you get into a situation where the contracts flip, this often provides sort of an initial catalyst for some quote unquote covering. And what this looks like to a market making firm is not that they're going to take the loss. They're simply going to hedge in different ways. And one of the key ways that they can hedge short volatility is to sell ES contracts, or to basically sell the market as a group. And that's often what can lead to these sort of spike events. Not necessarily that the event is over, but in terms of explaining some of what we saw last week and into yesterday's session, think about it in terms of these parameters, always trying to counterbalance each other. And usually it's going to be large market participants, market making firms, or just institutions in general, along with sort of the trigger, which is of course things like support levels breaking, distribution above too much supply versus demand, uncertainty in the market, and even something as simple as breaking the 200-day moving average. That of course can be a linchpin for long bias traders to take a stop and basically to provide some of that downside pressure leading into the dynamic we saw. So it's all sort of circular in how the market plays, but understanding those triggers, understanding some of that dynamic, and then being prepared whenever you start to see things cascading like we saw. Now, moving back into volatility futures, of course, when we're looking at the active contract, which is priced in at about 30.15, you'll see the volume here. That way you know you're looking at the participating contract and not just a rolled contract or something not being traded. You look down into the March contract, you see that this one currently is being priced about 29.06. So this marketplace remains in backwardation. Short dated is still priced higher than future dated. And this of course continues March to April, a bit of a skew here. April to May, once again, priced higher, shorter dated, and then of course it starts to flatten as you get further out in time. There's less participation out here, therefore that skew starts to drop off. Now you can view that in different ways. Obviously, we saw sort of a tabular view. This is, of course, a chart or sort of a graph-based view, just showing those different contracts marked by the relative price. And you can see that curve naturally in this sort of view. And then one additional way, which you'll have to allow me to grab the symbol names. I'm looking at G and H for Feb and March. You can actually, in this particular platform, just look at the ratio between, let's say, the spot and the March contracts, basically the difference between the two. And what this looks like is a big, nasty looking chart if you keep it on candle. But of course, on an intraday time frame, and as we maybe change the style to be something more like a line graph, you can start to see the nuance between that curve or that ratio of short to, in this case, March dated contracts. And you can actually see some of the moments in time where not only is this starting to return to a relative flat curve, but also some moments during the end of the session where we almost got back into sort of a normal structure, a very brief moment where the pricing was approximately equivalent. And that can be done no matter which ratio you're looking at. You can sort of build this equation however you wish to see it. The goal here is that you're looking for those inflection points. You're looking for, one, the sort of technical signal that the market may be about to bottom. You're also looking for some of these key correlated assets to also give you those types of signals. And then last but not least, to basically initiate the right type of trade or use the right type of instrument to facilitate the setup that is forming. Obviously, this is more of an oversold technical bounce that we're seeing in the market. And that, of course, can be taken in multiple different ways. Obviously, the likes of shares or some sort of net long position to try and capture any sort of bounce that the market gives, along with the idea of possibly selling particular premium-based strategies, because we do now have a technical low. Volatility is quite elevated, and if the expectation is that the bounce will lead to a volatility contraction, obviously certain premium selling strategies will work quite well, with the understanding that we are not quite out of the woods yet. So let's take a moment and look at the S&Ps. And I want to zoom in here because ultimately, if I look at the daily, you're going to get a lot of technical traders who said, it's obvious that we bounce here, there's so much support, and basically sort of facilitating the argument that they knew the market was going to land here and basically provide the reversal. Yes, there are some levels here. There's some particular swing lows of interest. There's also sort of a trading range that was back in time. All of these are quite nuanced in regards to sort of that absolute low that the market hit. But in the moment, and of course, during volatility, it's quite easy to look back and say that you knew that that particular level was going to hold, all the while seeing multiple other levels get breached. And this is the idea that the market was not necessarily in a technical mode. We were looking for the market to give us a signal in the moment versus anticipating where those key levels might be. And of course, just having some of those levels marked in case it had nice confluence. And all of this is just about risk to reward, about sort of anticipating that potential technical bottom, which we've been discussing for quite a while, and then just waiting for the market to give us the thumbs up, all clear for initiating the short-term trade. So let's take a look at that short-term time frame and talk about some nuance from yesterday's session. I believe that based on where we are in pre-market, the market isn't necessarily screaming to the upside on today's session. We didn't start with a gap up open. We have a lot of earnings coming out. That's going to cause sort of a back and forth volatility, especially if one reports good earnings and reacts appropriately. One reports or reacts to the downside. That'll just sort of be that balancing act of the market. And it can be worthwhile discussing some structure just on yesterday's session that may still be in play. Basically, key levels to keep an eye out for, along with where those key reversals took place. And for here, we're going to be seeing a lot of repeating patterns. In fact, there's something of note here that I want to iterate a few times upon once my Epic Pen loads. There we are. Okay. So obviously in the morning session, you look at things like your morning auction. That, of course, is constituted of an open price, some sort of range low based on where this price trades, and then, of course, a range high. All of these price levels are not necessarily nuance on today's pullback or back testing, but it may be worthwhile to understand where this range is, because I feel as if a lot of yesterday's trades sort of revolved around this particular range in general. Market, of course, sold off, and we saw sort of our first bounce occur with a nice double bottom intraday around the 426 level. I've gone ahead and drawn that level out to show the kind of nuance that some of the price action had around this particular price. And obviously, if we get a pullback to this level, this may also provide some of those setups once again. Obviously, a recovery bounce as the market was still sort of downtrending overall. We saw a breach of this, and more specifically, this breach facilitated by some of the higher trading volume. Basically, that breach and that final leg down, very important for the S&Ps as we started to make our final low. We also even see things like a back test, which tells you that the market is in some regards respecting this particular price. And what this starts to form is structure. The idea of patterns or just key inflection levels that a lot of market participants are trading and defining risk around. Obviously, this low being breached is a warning sign for the bounce that took place. And of course, this final leg likely took out any longs that initiated positions here outside of longer term participation. Additionally, as you see the back testing occur here, you can even see structures that are very familiar to us as traders. The idea of some sort of head and shoulder structure, or in this case, an inverse head and shoulder. As the market made its final low, came all the way back to this very nuanced price level. We're talking about general inflection on yesterday's session. And then, of course, the breakout. This breakout, of course, very clear in the way that it expanded away from this particular price. And once again, even more nuanced, another back test to 426, showcasing how important this price level was on an intraday session. Now, there was a moment in time in the afternoon session where the market had a chance to basically come back and come and trade in this lower bound range, basically to revisit 425 to 420. And once again, just repeating the same sort of nuance here, we're looking at a possible head and shoulder. And this is where the question was. We were looking to see on yesterday's session what was going to occur here, because we had a shoulder definition. We had our left shoulder built about 429 for the top end of the shoulder, a couple pennies here and there. And the market was actually starting to move slightly away, just a couple of minutes of sort of a drawdown. Obviously, with a breach of the neckline, that 426 once again being important for setting up a possible bearish trade into the close. Now, as with every pattern, the breaking of a pattern or the invalidation of a pattern can often lead to the opposite effect. And what's more critical about these opposite effects is that they can even be more powerful than the measured move of the particular setup. So they're often very important to watch out for, especially if you notice that nuance forming. And what you see here is that we invalidated our shoulder. We basically destroyed the head and shoulder structure that was forming. And obviously the rally that occurred was not only very powerful, but it was very clear. You know, the pullbacks were being bought. You had a nice channel into the close. And that, of course, led the market to basically close near the intraday high. So when looking at nuance here, you may want to start to consider marking some of these intraday levels for today's trade. Not necessarily that each one's going to be in play, but when we talk about where some of this structure formed on yesterday's session, potentially looking at where the inverse, the head and shoulder highs were formed. Obviously looking at some of these swing highs. And when you look at these swing highs, it brings us back into our morning range. Basically the breakout here, and of course any short initiated during the morning session looking for the market to continue its sell-off, of course needs to consider their position once this level is breached. And that of course can lead to the sharper short covering rally, along with new buyer participants seeing the reversal and stepping into some of this momentum. So all of these are going to be sort of nuanced for today. Obviously, the low of yesterday's session, very important for future trade. But in terms of the structure and sort of those middle ranges, those more nuanced areas of yesterday's move, I think those are going to have more play before we see a revisit of yesterday's low, just given the technical setup and the overall structure of that reversal. So keep all this in mind as we move into today's session. We're obviously pulling back in the pre-market right into yesterday's morning range. And of course, looking for something like longer time frame reversals. You want to be thinking hourly trend changes, which technically the market has made sort of a new retest of a sell-off high, but the hourly trend technically is still down. We've just given ourselves enough room in regards to the bounce to set up that higher low. These are going to be things that we will likely start to see if this reversal has enough energy to move higher. Things like moving averages starting to cross, and of course those candle-based structures forming inside of yesterday's, basically the beginning of a possible trend change. So obviously volume, very important as well. We talk about capitulation in the market when things basically continue to sell, people continue to step into weakness. They continue to be wrong as the market is looking for those relative lows. And then of course, people who either positioned back in time along with new stop losses and margin capitulation or margin trading, all of that has to be returned to the broker, especially near sort of those relative lows. There's lots of discussion yesterday about people basically getting margin calls as the SPY was hitting 422 to 420. And that's the idea of capitulation. You're not necessarily wanting to sell, but your, I would say your leverage and the poor positioning of your trades forces you to sell. This is the idea behind capitulation. We see it after the fact. We trade it as a tradable event. And then from there, it can mark very important and powerful lows moving forward. So obviously, lots to look for in regards to this setup. People are going to be looking to sort of reposition into certain trend changes as the market begins to form them. And obviously with our catalysts, just not necessarily stepping in full risk on, because we do have Microsoft, Apple, and Tesla reporting this week. Now, some additional nuance. The dollar has sort of returned or recovered from a possible trend break. The simple idea here is that we did make a new swing low. We obviously came back into the area where the swing low formed. Dollar chart still remains pretty strong. In regards to longer time frames, this is more or less just a pullback in the weekly or just general uptrend that this market currently has. So dollar strength still a bit of an issue in regards to certain performance across equities, certain commodities, and the likes of certain asset classes. Let's see, we talked about volatility. Obviously our interest rates, that's going to be something to keep an eye on as we see the FOMC reaction. TLT coming into a swing low, nice recovery bounce, but you can see yesterday as equities recovered, the TLT sold off quite strongly. Pullback sort of bounce to the 20 period. It does look as if this particular product is basically structuring itself into a downtrend. We will see bounces in between, which is why we mark these sort of relative highs and relative lows to keep an eye out for. But amidst all of that very clear sort of downtrending momentum, we'll kind of see how this range forms as the bounce did bring us to the swing high. Usually much more clear downtrends, the pullbacks are not going to get you to the previous swing high. So this is more likely to be a range. The break of that range, of course, important for future trade. And last but not least, I wanted to shift really quickly into Bitcoin. As I mentioned, a lot of different assets sort of bouncing on yesterday's session. Most of them were in sort of a correlated sell-off. Crypto was not immune from that selling pressure in the market. So here I just have the Bitcoin USD chart, a simple 20 period moving average, and then I've got the RSI at the bottom along with volume. Now, there's a lot of nuance and structure in this chart, most of which has been covered inside of Markets and Crypto webinar. If you're an elite member, please look back into some of those recordings for some of that nuance. We're obviously getting into some price levels that haven't been seen since the May crash, that sort of 30 to 41 or 42,000 with some nuance as we tested 30,000. But more importantly, if I bring it back into sort of a weekly time frame, and of course, everything is early until, of course, you get the confirmation moving forward. But in terms of risk to reward and in terms of how this chart is structured, we do have a little bit of nuance in regards to a channel. Now, you're not going to be happy with how this channel forms for the Bitcoin bulls out there, because at the end of the day, the two all-time highs, especially the most recent one, had a lack of follow through. And of course, a lot of selling that occurred afterwards. But as I drag this channel down into the swing lows, the ones that coincide from high to low, I bring this channel out, just trying to keep my magnet tool attached. You can see where the current price is located. Now, obviously, time will tell if this channel is even worth trading. Is it even something that's going to cause a price reaction? But in regards to 2021 trade and some of the nuance between low to high and high to low, you can even bring this out into a monthly just to sort of clean up your chart. You can see the 20 period has been tested for the first time since we bottomed in COVID. So as far as this particular asset is concerned, this channel might be relatively important moving forward. And as it's starting to form, we obviously have the highs defining the slope of the channel. And then now we have a potential channel low being set once again by a test, or basically the price action occurring at the low. So time will tell. Of course, market doesn't appear necessarily too aggressive and too risk on. Obviously, liquidations can sort of change the perception, and the Fed's decision and discussion will obviously impact the market short term. But want to keep an eye on these longer time frame setups. Risk to reward is all important for trade and for positioning. And of course, with the right signals, each of these areas can become just a new opportunity for us as traders. So with that said, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Market. Trade safe the rest of the week. Keep some of those nuances from yesterday's session in mind. You can do the same analysis on the NASDAQ or the Russell. Also, keep aware that we do have some geopolitical turmoil, the likes of Russia and Ukraine. We'll cover that a little bit more as it evolves, but understand that those sort of news-related shakeups might add some additional volatility into our trade. So be safe out there, have your stops in place, and just understand that we can get some whipsaw if something does come out this week. So with that said, we'll talk more tomorrow. Stay tuned for pre-market prep.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Premarket Prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. I hope you guys had a great day yesterday. Good morning, Norm. How you doing today?
Hey, good morning, brother. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. All right, guys. Sorry about that. We had a little tech issues getting the screen up and running in our chat, but now we are set and good to go. We're gonna skip over the stuff from yesterday,
You
guys. I
are
mean,
not good to go on YouTube,
YouTube is
and
not
there's
all
no
set.
sound and no video, no audio over there.
Huh. I show everything good on my end. Let me
Oh,
check here, guys. Let's see.
yeah, you're good.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You're good.
All right, perfect. All right, guys, we'll skip over the stuff from yesterday. Let's just kind of get into what's happening today, since we do have a lot to cover this morning.
You don't want
Uh,
to. You don't want to look at the roller coaster.
uh,
At least
I,
look at the spy.
I was gonna let you go right into that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna look at that.
All right.
With that said, let's go right into that.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday, that is, yeah, there you go. That was a wild day with a gap down, a massive sell off at one point. When I looked at it, it was 3.5% or so down. Made all that back and closed green ish or flat roughly. So I mean, Nvidia was a perfect example of something that was, I think previous day close was 233.70 ish, and it went all the way down to like 210 ish or so, just below, and then came all the way back and closed, I think, within 2 cents of the previous day close. I mean, it was truly wild. It was something to
Yeah,
see. So
yeah,
we'll see how this day goes. I'm a little bit surprised to see as big of a gap down as we have, but as volatile as things are right now, you can't be surprised about too much, frankly. So 9 a.m. we've got the S&P Case-Shiller Home Price Index and FHFA Home Price Indexes. Those are year over year, and then at 10 a.m. Consumer Confidence. So let's see. Let's see if we have another crazy day.
yeah. It was insane for sure. Yeah, let's get right to it, guys. Our gappers list this morning so far. Again, more stuff in the red after our roller coaster ride yesterday. So we got a couple of things here down 4%, 2%. We got a few 3%. And so again, just the same song and dance today again. Are we going to go for another leg down? I mean, it's looking rather weak right now, so it's going to be interesting to see what these tickers do. We have a couple that are in the green territory here, so we'll have to see how those are making out there. The names don't look too great right now, but we'll get into the details in just a sec here. So, yeah, let's go ahead and see what's happening. Let's go ahead and remove our watch list from yesterday. The Control A, Control X gets rid of that, and then we have a clean list there. And now that I'm thinking about that, let's link our trade ideas, and we will be set to go here. So add link, and that is, yep, that looks good. Let's see. Perfect. All right, starting with SSSRRA this morning. So you got this one initial pop here. From there, has sold off and come back down to 21. 2.5 million shares traded. A whole lot going on here already. You can see it was halted at one point here. This is a 6.7 million shares flow. It is on short selling restriction. We do have shares for short. I mean, we don't get to see this often, but you got all the codes in here for this one today. So,
Yeah.
Norm, any news worth watching this
Yeah,
one?
absolutely. This is a biotech that had a cancer drug that did well in some trials. So popping on that low float, really scary price action. So be very careful of that.
All right, we're
I was
gonna go.
watching it earlier. I
Yeah,
don't. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. One of those got to be extra careful. This guy SRRA, really, really low flow stock, very active. Just look at the range this morning, right? As low as 21, right? And this gap up here, all the way up to 30, 29.89. So again, you got some real serious movement happening here. Very careful on the number of shares you're going to trade if you are going to trade that, right? And again, be real with yourself, right? Be honest with yourself. If you know you don't have the experience, you've been trading for X amount of time, you're struggling with certain areas, this is not one you want to have on your list. It's just too risky, right? So be honest with yourself on what phase of the learning curve you are in. And if you are in the beginning side of that curve, you want to kind of stay away from this one. Even experienced traders that do
even if
well
you're
in,
not.
even if you're not, right? Even experienced traders that do well in this area, are horrible low flow traders, right? So just be realistic with yourself and what you can and cannot do.
Just note that that's one of those things that if it goes against you, it can go against you very fast.
It can get very, very ugly quickly. TRQ this morning, they are looking very scrappy today. So I don't see anything great on this one, guys. Really all over the place, up 10%, no volume. Yeah, I don't know what is going on here. We'll skip on this. BN, go ahead.
Nothing. I agree.
Yeah. BNTX. This ticker comes up here and there. I don't trade it. Again, I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's a foreign ticker?
Yes.
Do I have that right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's BioNTech.
Yeah.
It's German biotech, part of the Pfizer jab partnership. It's tough to trade, man. Really can be tough.
Yeah, very, very difficult. I will skip on that. And then we have Logic. Logic Tech is this one? Yeah, Logic Tech this morning up 4%. I'm assuming earnings
last night.
Yeah, we never hear from these guys. So earnings last night, and even then, they don't trade very well, guys. I mean, it's just so look see how thin this trades. I mean, this is 2.3 million yesterday just because the market was dropping the way it was and it bounced back. They did 2.3 million, right? So even with the catalyst today, I just don't see how us day traders would trade this thing. So I'm going to keep that off the list. So nothing good on the gap up list besides a really, really risky low flow stock. Let's see what's gapping down this morning, starting with the top 5, and then we'll take it to the room because we're going to have the same thing like yesterday. All your favorite stocks are in here this morning. It's going to be seeing what you want to watch that has volume, and just keeping an eye on the SPY like we did yesterday, guys. Eye on the SPY to see where things are going to be shifted. SPY is the big hammer right now. Wherever that thing is swinging, these stocks are following suit. American Airlines was a great one for me yesterday. Beautiful drop here. Like everything else, I'll show you that one. Beautiful drop, and then a beautiful bounce, like everything that that bounce with the SPY here. So all the stocks on our list yesterday probably most likely look just like this, right? Let's see, AJRD this morning. They are down 14%. Looks like something is happening here. Big drop from 43.
Yeah, they were supposed to be part of a takeover deal with Lockheed Martin that's not going to pass regulatory scrutiny. So that's losing it on that. It's not a good trader. I don't.
Yeah.
It's average daily volume is like 550,000 shares. Trades super thin. Just not.
Yeah. Not one to keep on deck, guys. Doesn't look good at all right here. Let's look at Grubhub this morning. This one is also not a great trade. I usually take it off my list, especially on a day like today, man, where we have so much going on.
Foreign garbage, man.
These guys are down 9.7. It's just not worth watching it. GE is down 5.1. Again, another stock that doesn't move a whole lot. They had earnings this morning, looks like. Pre-market earnings this morning. And again, I'd rather watch the SPY than this right here. STM, another foreign stock. Just not gonna waste my time with that one. SoFi has been okay. It has been pretty much following the market. You are getting great volume. Already you have 1 million shares traded. I did not watch it yesterday, but if I look at it here, you had the one initial drop like everything did here. So you can't give them too much credit for that. Then you had the bounce, right? The bounce that we all got on almost every stock. So nothing too exciting there. AMC this morning, we're down 4.3. Yeah, I'm not sure, guys. Again, really just look at the SPY and pick your 5 favorite stocks. That is the watch list today. Norm, anything you like this morning? I'm not going to keep going down this list. Anything you like that sticks out?
Still looking, man. I'm still looking.
All right. I'm going to add a few favorites here, which I know we should
like you said, this is one of those days you can pick one of your favorite tickers just like yesterday. And everything, the market is as influential as ever, and you're going to move probably along with it.
Yep, absolutely. 2 things I'm going to add here. I'm going to add Apple. I'm going to add American Airlines. I'm also going to add even NEO. Had great volume yesterday. I'm going to add those 3 because if you look at their action yesterday, if the SPY is going to swing the way it swung yesterday, it's going to be nice to have stocks that normally get great volume, right? If you get great volume, you're going to probably do very well today, depending how the SPY is going to be. So I got these 3 on my main list this morning. What do you guys like on your end today? Let's take a look here. We'll start with, who do we have here? Let's go up. Oh, sorry, I lost my spot. Here we are. Oh, lost my spot, guys. I'm just gonna start right here. Jeff, IBM. We'll start there. If I missed you, throw it back out. IBM here. You know what? IBM is one of those stocks that yes, it can move today, but look at it yesterday. Even
Gonna
with
move
everything
today.
going on, right? With everything going on, look what it does. Listen, it didn't move all that well,
They had
right?
earnings last night, but nevertheless, it trades terribly.
Yeah, it's a horrible trading stock, guys. I'm not gonna be watching this one, even with the earnings. I mean, today you can watch other stuff that I think are gonna be a lot more active. PFE this morning, not looking great as far as pre-market action. They do got 1.2 million shares traded, right? So maybe a possible. I'm not sure what's going on there, but not a big fan of that one. Roblox this morning, RBLX. What's going on there? 178,000. Pre-market action is pretty light right now. Short selling restriction. I think this, you can add this if you like. I think we can find something better this morning though. AMC. What do we got in AMC? We looked at this earlier. Yeah, AMC could be a good possible. Could be a good possible. You know they get the volume. You know they can be very explosive. Microsoft earnings. Earnings on Microsoft. We are down 1.5, 430. You know, I mean, I know a lot of stocks are doing earnings, but the earnings seem to be swallowed up by what the market is doing, right? I mean,
Earnings on
it's
Microsoft aren't until tonight.
oh, it's tonight. Okay, yeah. So that the earnings usually I like to play them after they come out, right? Before it just could be a hit or miss. But so I don't see anything great on this one at the moment. Tomorrow probably being played. Nvidia, I have Apple on my list, but Nvidia is another good one today, guys. I'm gonna put this here as a possible. So that's good for Nvidia. What else we have? No, it's all right if you had the wrong days, man. All good. That's what we're here for, you know, in the community to be able to help each other out. So no worries on that. Here is Neo. I have that one on deck. That looks good. Already has great volume on it as well. Heading down. Okay, so that's what you guys have so far. All right, IBM had earnings. Yeah, we looked at IBM brown bag. It didn't look too good. Chris, AMD and Lucid. We'll take a look at those. AMD this morning. Let's see what's happening there. AMD, another good one to watch. I don't see a whole lot going on at the moment on it. Let's take a look at Lucid. Lucid yesterday didn't do all that well, right? Compared to other stocks, if you look at their action, the way they traded here, they were better clean stocks with better price activity. So I was not impressed with Lucid. Yes, they did drop. Yes, they did pop up. But if you look at an American Airlines, you look at an Apple, you know, it was so much cleaner. So not huge on them today, depending what again, it all depends what type of market we are going to get today. All right, let's take a look at YouTube. Actually, let me open up my YouTube chat. Let's bring this over here and see what you guys have this morning. Let's come right over here. Let's not block the gappers list. And let's start with Lance. You're giving us Baba. Baba, what's going on with Baba this morning? No volume today. So again, pretty much following whatever the market is doing. There's nothing really special about it this morning. So I'll keep it on a possibles list, really. I don't see much going on there. Nvidia is good. We have that on deck. Jay, that's the watch list. SPY and the Qs, right? Just watch those and then pick your favorite stocks, right? I mean, that's the type of day that it is. If we're going to have what we did yesterday, which was just massive. I mean, I don't think we're going to have that type of movement again. It's very rare to get that, but we can have a sell-off from here, or it may be a continuation of this bounce if we are going to do some kind of bounce here. GOOG, what is this? Oh, this is Alphabet.
Google.
Yeah, it doesn't trade well. Horrible
Yeah.
intraday trading stock. Piton this morning. You know, it was a little bit messy yesterday. Today, down 3%, 112. I think we might have better stuff on here this morning. Again, just a lot going on with Piton, though. Worth watching just in case something happens there. AJRD we looked at already, I believe, and yeah, it's no good. I mean, just very thin volume on the daily here, guys. They do have a catalyst, but again, just does not look like a good intraday trading stock at the moment. We'll take a look at a few more. PLTR today, pretty choppy right now, down 3%. No, I'd rather watch something else. Yesterday was clean though. Look at yesterday's action, very nice yesterday. Let's see. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll come back and look at it again. Coase. Yeah, Coase was active. Was it 2 days ago? Or was it?
I don't see them really doing much.
Yeah. They had yesterday actually. Yesterday had the pop. You know, with their earnings.
It's a buy. No, it's a buyout.
The buyout, correct? Yes, thank you. The buyout, and I just this might go sideways. This might go sideways. And yesterday
It
was
might
horrible,
move a
by the
little
way.
bit, but unless more news
Yeah.
comes out of bidding war, probably won't do a whole lot.
Yeah. So again, don't like what I'm seeing here as far as it for today. 8 p.m. We'll do 8 p.m. and then we'll do Chewy and Pins. 8 p.m. this morning. No, this doesn't look good. I hate stocks when they do this. They got the initial pop, then you start to sell off here. Just nothing's happening. You're throwing volume around. It's just it never ends well for the most part. All right, we could be wrong, but it just doesn't looks like the fun was over the minute it started on that one. Chewy is a difficult trading stock for me, and today I'm not seeing anything special. They can move after the bell. They typically have this type of price action in the pre-market all the time, and they still can put in some volume like they did yesterday. But for the most part, for me, they don't trade very well. We'll look at Pins and we'll call it there. Pins is this is another one too that does not get great volume in the pre-market and can still put in a good pre-market intraday action. But choppy, man, choppy. I mean, I can't tell you how choppy this stock can be. Yesterday, you cannot give them too much credit for this because there were so many things that moved like this, right? Yesterday, so I'm not inclined to add this to my list. Sorry, I know I said that was the last one, but I am going to look at BA because a lot of you guys were throwing that one out. BA, great day yesterday. I don't see anything special today on it as well. So a lot of these stocks, guys, we just have to wait to see what the market open is going to do. They're on our list here, gapping up or down, but not because they're really in play, just because overall market movement. That's what's happening here. So we got to be patient. Look at what the SPY is going to do, what the Qs are doing, and how we can take advantage of some movements here. All right. Anything else, Norm, before we go to announcements? Actually, you know what? You probably sent me new announcements and I forgot to load them because I usually do that on Monday. So let me load up some stuff here, and then I'll try to get them loaded if I can.
Are we going backward? Is that what we're doing?
Let's start backwards. No, I'll get you. I'll get you right over here. There we go. No, now I'll try to load. Yeah, I'm gonna try to load the new ones now.
All right. So next week, Peter will be doing a webinar Tuesday. Excuse me, that's tonight. I'm losing it. Tonight, webinar, Peter, 8 p.m. Eastern. He's going to be talking about kind of how to start if you're new to this day-to-day plan to start your trading journey. So check that out, 8 p.m. this evening in the webinar room. Then tomorrow night, Creta, 5 p.m. Eastern. Note the special time because of her time zone. She's going to be talking about taking the pain out of trading, decoding your trading challenges. Both sides of the spectrum there. Fear of taking or holding trades.
All right, just getting this new slide for you here.
And then, no, that's even older, Ben. You're putting me in a DeLorean and going 88 miles an hour.
Yes.
That's all right. We can skip it. We got this week's. Just go to the, there you go, stocktradingsimulator.com. If you want to check out the new replay-based stock trading simulator that we've put out, made by traders for traders for free, go to stocktradingsimulator.com. Try that out. You can put your email down at the bottom, get homework assignments a couple times a week. And we don't sell that or spam that list. If you're watching on YouTube and haven't been in the chat, you'd like to do so, you can try it out with no obligation. There is a one-time charge intro membership. Use the promo code Premarket24 to get a discount on it. It lasts 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. And after which it cancels. If you'd like to become an elite member, you can use the promo code WINTER40, and that'll get you access to all of the special webinars we do every week that we were just mentioning. So,
all right, thank you very much, Norm, for that. All right, guys, let's get to it here. Our list right now, I only have really Apple, American Airlines, and NEO. I'm gonna add some more as we move forward here, but again, I'm just gonna be watching some really few of my favorite stocks possibly, and then just kind of see what the overall market is going to do, right? That's going to be the theme today. Same thing as it was yesterday. I might move up AMC if we can get a squeeze going here. So actually,
I want to mention something that's near and dear to my heart, because whenever I can whenever I can influence somebody. So Megan ate a steak, and so we made her a mod. I'm just kidding. But I want to congratulate my friend Megan. She's working part of Bear Bull Trader. She's a mod now. So good morning, Megan. Welcome. There will be plenty of endless stream of vegetarian jokes now.
I cannot wait for a meetup down in Texas, specifically down in Texas. And I can't wait for the place that you are going to pick for us to go hang out at. It's going to be great.
I'm not like that. I joke about Beyond Meat.
No,
you guys know. I couldn't care less what anybody eats.
Exactly.
But I want to shout out, great trader. And
yes,
and Megan and I chat on the side every once in a while, and I'm really happy to have her here with us.
Absolutely, guys. Follow her on Twitter too. Megan, what's your Twitter? I don't have it up right now, but follow her on Twitter. She posts a lot of great trades.
Marlowe Trades.
There you go. She also has her
excellent recaps.
Excellent recaps
stuff
on YouTube there as well. So,
Megan, how long you been in Bear Bull Traders now? It's been a while. 2 years in April. So
wow, it feels like it was more than that. But yeah.
So anyway,
welcome, Megan.
Welcome.
Welcome. All right, guys. Our list this morning, we have let's start with Apple here. Apple, looking at our watch list, at our levels right now, we have levels from yesterday that look pretty good already, but we're going to remove them just to make sure things look as clean as possible. Low of the pre-market today, we're looking at 157.33. Top of that, we're looking at 160.25. So that looks good right there. I don't think we need to add anything else. These levels being confirmed here back in November. A lot of activity confirming these levels, giving it a little bit more strength on those highs and lows. Towards the bottom of this, we do have another great level right over here at 152.28. That's a good one there as well. So you can mark that also there. So above the previous day close, highs and lows from the last two trading days are taking care of you there. So that is Apple. Here's American Airlines. This one was great yesterday as well. Towards the top, guys, highs and lows from the last two trading days. You can mark down the high of the pre-market right now, sitting at 16.30. So 16.30, we'll throw that there. And then towards the bottom, low of the pre-market over here at a 15.96. Low of the pre-market at the moment. So that's what you have there on American Airlines. I'm just going to go back and see if we have anything below that 15 bucks that we did, 15.50 low of the pre-market yesterday. Do we have anything below that just in case? Yeah, right over here around 14.71. So I think that's you're all set there. All right, here's Neo. Good volume right now. Kind of waiting to see what's going to happen here with the overall market this morning. Get rid of some of these levels as we're overlapping some of the highs and lows from the last two trading days. 23.88 is the low of the pre-market. Above that, we do have 24.68 high of the pre-market. And outside of that window, I think you're pretty much set with the highs and lows here, so you're good there. Here is AMC. This morning, get rid of some of the levels that we had. We are surrounded by the highs and lows as well. Low of the pre-market 15.75, and I think you're pretty much set there, guys. All right, let's see what our possibles list. Let's see if we have anything here that's worth moving up this morning. Let's look at PLTR. Not really. Nvidia, maybe Nvidia we can move up here. Let's make some space. Nvidia. PFE, they got volume. It's just their price action right now is not looking all that great. Baba, Baba could be the sleeper today, right? That they maybe could do something. Piton could be interesting. A lot of news around these guys. Maybe I'll watch Piton. Again, the list today, guys, it's very simple for me. It's going to be looking at what the SPY is doing and then seeing what stocks have the volume that are moving with the SPY. Apple and American Airlines did that yesterday very great alongside NEO and some other stock that you guys have on deck. So today's list doesn't have to be crazy just because there's really nothing in here that's in play on its own. Maybe Piton with all the negative news they have around their stuff and how bad it's been. Maybe these guys have their own news, which the reason why I have them on here. Outside of that, they don't look great today, right? But they have a lot of stuff going on their side that can move things one way or the other today. Also, you had this huge drop a few days ago. I want to see how that's going to react here. Are we looking to bounce, or are we going to be heading back down to some of these levels on Piton today? So keeping a close eye on that one. As far as levels, I think you're pretty much set here. Nvidia, as far as levels, low of the pre-market 223.05 was slamming level there. And then towards the top, we're looking at, what is this here? 230.70 on NVIDIA. So that's all I have, guys. Anything else on your end that you guys like this morning? Is it going to be a bearish open? Andrew Barash, I do not know. We don't know what kind of open we're going to get. I mean, I'll tell you this much. It's going to be volatile one way or the other. I don't think we're just going to sit around moving sideways today. Maybe the first 15 minutes, but I believe we're gonna head one way or the other. Right now, we're looking a little bit on the weaker side. And in the last couple of weeks, we've seen some weakness to the market here. So maybe, how big is the buy the dip mentality, right? Yesterday got a little hope here, buying the dip. That's been the song and dance for a very long time, right? Buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. You look at the bigger picture. Every time we drop, you get this nice drop to the 50, and everybody's just buying the dip, and going northeast here, right? So, a couple of times we dip below the 50. You can see here a little struggle, a little consolidation, but then we find a way to rip higher. New all-time highs, new all-time highs, new all-time highs. Here now, this is at the moment a correction right now. We're not in a market downturn or anything like that, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens coming up. How are we going to end this week? You can even look at it day by day. How are we going to end the week, right? We're making noise here, and then on Friday we're sitting close to 470, 475, like nothing happened, like we have seen in the past. So we don't know. We don't know, but I'll tell you this much: we are here for the ride, my friends. That is for sure. All right. Anything else you guys have? I mean, this is my list right now. I'm really focused on Apple and American Airlines and Neo. The rest are just going to be here just for fillers. I'm going to be looking at scanners and looking at what everything else is happening. Gustavo, no, Norm is just nothing wrong with his connection. Oh no! Oh, you're asking Norm what is a correction? All right, Norm can definitely answer that.
Correction, generally a 10% drop in the indices.
Right, it's 10%, right? And then
10%. Bear market's 20.
Is 20. Yeah. We're sitting. Are we sitting at 10 now already, or no?
Or under 10, yeah.
You're under 10. Okay.
Yeah, so I think we got down close to 20.
Okay. So we'll see, guys. We'll see where it's gonna go. But again, you don't know what's gonna happen until it actually happens. You can't.
I don't know exactly what the low hit percentage wise from the top yesterday. I haven't looked at that. I'm guessing it didn't hit 20. It was probably just shy 19ish. But yes, it would be all 18. There you go.
Yeah, pretty close.
If anybody knows the SPY, throw that out there too.
Yeah, so
there are a lot of tickers that have hit that 12% on SPY. So correction territory, not.
Yep. All right, perfect, guys. All right, we have time. We're done pretty early today. So any questions that we can answer, any tickers that maybe might not be on here that have their own catalyst that might be in play, right? A lot of stuff is just kind of following overall market. Is there anything out there that's not doing what everybody else is doing that you guys might be aware of? If so, we'd love to see that. Let's see what we got going on here. PLTR. Yeah, PLTR, I have it as a secondary. It could be a hit or miss with PLTR. They swing, man, really extreme chop and really well. Like yesterday, you can see this was very decent intraday action. But we've seen just horrible stuff for them, and they keep their volume up. PLTR trades heavy volume, which is why sometimes people get confused. They mistake volume for good price activity, right? They're doing 55 million shares a day without being in play, right? So their volume is there, no question, but their activity at times could be very, very questionable.
Kind of like me.
Yes. That's a good one. All right, AMC. AMC. I have AMC, guys. I have it on here. I mean, this could be explosive, and you could get a squeeze on this, and how much this can be affected by Wall Street bets and all that type of stuff. So yeah, I have that one. That's a good one. Apple. We have and NVAX. You know what? On a day like today, NVAX is probably
somebody's asking about that candle, the chart ruiner that Apple just threw. That is a print from yesterday.
Where is that? Where's that candle? Oh, right here. Yeah, it messes up the charts. Unless you zoom in and get some of the action from yesterday, it'll look a little bit better. But if you're zooming in, yeah, we hate when these candles mess things up here. But yeah, this is transaction being printed there. Not really the price action popping up like that. Great volume right now on Apple, guys. Looking very nice this morning. How's the low flow doing today? SSRRA. That's trying to come back. Just be very, very careful with this one, guys. All right, Mike throwing out his watch list very early on this morning, Apple and NVIDIA. So he's just watching those two for today. That is what he likes. We have both of them, actually. We have Apple and we have NVIDIA, both getting great volume. They've been trading very well, too, the last couple of weeks, really. Why do candles do that? Norm just explained it.
So, yeah, there are trades sometimes that take place that aren't recorded at the time that they take place, and they have to be recorded at some point. So a lot of times in the pre-market, they'll print like that, and you'll see like there isn't just some random $3 away trade that goes through. There's way too much, especially you look at like something like Apple that's got liquidity all over the level 2. There's no way, especially what did it trade in that candle? Let me look. Volume 10,000 shares. There's no way that it printed 10,000 shares and moved $3 like that. So it's easy to pick out because it's right around yesterday's close. So usually they're trades that were going through in heavy volume right at the close. A lot of times they'll be at the exact price of the close yesterday. So that's not abnormal. It's meaningless other than the fact it makes your chart look like garbage on a short-term chart.
And I mentioned this before. I've been in situations where, let's say, I'll have an order sitting here, and this would happen. I'll have a limit order here or here. That order is not going to get filled. It's not that there's anything
or stop
wrong.
For that matter.
Or
you
stop,
can't have
right?
stops pre-market, but
Right.
these can happen during market hours, and they will not hit a stop either.
Right. So don't think there's something wrong with the system. It's just the price action itself did not really go up here. And if you look at your unrealized P&L, because I had this go the other way too, we're like, oh my God, what just happened? I look at my unrealized P&L, it doesn't move. It stays the same, right? You have a big drop, comes right back up. So, right, we got the moderators lineup. Let's take a look at this, guys. Let me go ahead and resize this over here. As I am doing this over on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up. We appreciate it very, very much. Let's check out what our moderators are looking at this morning. 1 second here. Here we go. Oh, we got Megan. Megan, with her first watch list ever. All right.
Better be good.
Yeah, it better be good because we'll get on you and we'll get Phil to help you out with your watch list. All right, here we go. Mike.
Where is Phil? Did we scare him off?
I think we scare Phil, man. You know what? We could be a little rough sometimes. Not just kidding. All right, here we go, guys. Mike, Apple, NVIDIA. Peter, IPOs for today, a few on there and a couple of SPACs. His list, AMD, Apple, Tesla, GE, Piton, and NEO. Megan's list here breaking through is Piton, Netflix, and Ford. Dima is looking at Apple, Netflix, Tiffany, Apple, NVIDIA, and NEO. And Thor, Lucid, Microsoft, IBM, Ford, Plug, and NEO this morning. So again, guys, pretty straightforward list. As you can see, a lot of these stuff has been in play for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Mike and Tiffany are the only ones with NVIDIA. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah.
NVIDIA's good today.
Yeah, I like NVIDIA today. I normally don't pick them, on the main list right away, but today they look good. And they have been trading good today. So we'll see what happens. I think we just gave the other moderators FOMO. Watch them. They're going to add NVIDIA to their list. What do we have here? Ford. What is going on with Ford?
Sammer wants to know why Megan's first list does not include Beyond the Meat. Because Megan even said it yesterday. Megan doesn't like Beyond the Meat. She even admitted it tastes like hot garbage.
Yes. Jared coming in with his list: Microsoft, AMD, NVIDIA, and Ford. Secondary list: AMC and energy stocks today. So that is what Jared will be looking at this morning. So and BYD obviously not in play today. But yeah. Oh, that is great. All right, guys, I think we're pretty much set here. Let's take a look at what the SPY is doing this morning. What are we looking like today? Again, crazy, crazy volume and activity and volatility, as we can see here. We're gapping down 1.5. We're going to see how this is going to swing one way or the other. The one thing, guys, just in this type of market, you gotta be able to change directions very quickly, and you gotta accept that that you are wrong very quickly, because things will run. The continuation that you're getting here, are very aggressive. So if you're hitting your stops, make sure you're taking your stops, right? Not just saying, "Oh, let me see what's gonna happen. Let me see what's gonna happen." Next thing you know, you're down, three times what you were expected to be, right? So that's very, very important. These type of markets can run very aggressively. We saw that yesterday on a couple of these stocks, Neo, AMC, Apple. I mean, just you got to be disciplined to hit your stops. I mean, look at the swing on AMC. You see this here. You miss your stop on this. Let's say you want to go short here because you think, this is a, maybe continuation. You go short here for the drop, and then you're supposed to get stopped out here. You don't. Look what happens. There's no coming back no time soon. This thing goes up to 1740 from 15. You don't want to be that guy hoping and wishing, or girl, that is going to come back down here. So you got to take your stops very, very quickly. Do not try to be a hero on a market that moves the way this is moving. And not just AMC. Look at Apple. Sorry, American Airlines, same situation. Things are running very aggressively. I'm not sure. I didn't watch NVIDIA yesterday, but yeah, you can see here as well. Just be very quick with your stops. Very, very important. This market, you got to be disciplined. It's a great market for us, but you have to have your discipline in check. That's for sure. Okay, perfect, guys. I think we're all set. Ivica. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right. I'm horrible with names, but you're asking me what about GE? See, the problem with GE, even if they have anything going on, they don't trade well, guys. They are very, very thin on volume. Look at GE yesterday with everything going on. GE trades 9 million shares, right? It's just so light on volume. So even with their release, right, they gapped down, right? They had a Q4 release. I think we still find something better than GE to trade, to be honest. So that's my take on it. I don't see anything great on it at the moment. Eamon coming in with his list, and Eamon's list very, very short this morning. He only likes XOM for a long. So that's the only thing on his list today that he likes. So perfect. All right, guys, 9/11. I don't have anything else to give you guys. Recap of our list. Here is Apple. Again, I like this one to follow whatever the market is doing because they got the volume, 1.4. American Airlines did very well yesterday. Looks like crap right now, though, I'll tell you that much. Not if this was a regular day, I would not be watching this stock, but I'm waiting for the market to push this one way or the other. Go ahead.
Just the travel stocks really haven't been doing much recently.
Yeah. It's only if the market moves. It's only if the market's going to push them down or up. That's what we saw yesterday on it.
And they're not even the ones really getting hit by it. If you look at the ranges they put in compared to other stuff, it's minimal.
Yeah,
it's the big growth stocks that are getting destroyed.
Well, the tech stuff are getting killed.
Really, growth.
Yeah, tech is getting killed for sure. Here is Neo right now. Again, not doing a whole lot, but this was decent. They do get great volume. AMC, I have it here maybe for a squeeze or something, right? These guys tend to like to squeeze pretty aggressively. NVIDIA looks great today, great volume as well. We'll see what it does. And then I have Pete on here just to see what happens, because there's so much negative stuff going around them. They're really not in play. Their action really doesn't look good. They actually shouldn't be on my list, but on a day like today, where my focus is going to be on the SPY, we have room to have something like this and just kind of see what is going to take place there. Some secondary PLTR. Let me get rid of NVIDIA. I have them twice. PFE is horrible. I don't even know why I have them here. Let's get rid of them. And I have BABA just to have a Chinese stock in here. See, I like to trade this one. Let's see what it does. BA. Someone mentioned BA earlier. No, not really in play at the moment. All right, guys, that is what we have. Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, just be patient. Look at the SPY. Look at the scanners. That's what we're going to be paying attention to this morning. And trade safe, guys. We will see you again tomorrow at 8 a.m. starting with engineering the markets. Tonight what is Wednesday? What is it, Tuesday?
Yeah,
we have our strategy class tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely make sure you attend that, Peter. And Peter likes to start early with some music, so be there at 7:45 to enjoy some tunes. by Peter, our BBT DJ there. So take care, guys. Stay safe, and we will see you tonight for the strategy course webinar. Take care, guys.
Take care, guys. Trade safe.